can be cruel at the best of times.
What a three! What a Spaniard shines to the Costa National.
But every now and then, it goes a step further.
Can't find the ball. Looks like it would have gone.
God, he's looking at the ball now.
And completely flips the script.
That was going to be close.
Masters tournament.
These are the moments where preparation meant nothing, confidence vanished, and luck completely went out the window.
Bees that just blew through.
Jean Van de Velde, Carnoustie collapse. And we kick things off at the Open back in '99 with Jean Van de Velde.
First tee.
Because standing on the 18th, Van de Velde had a 3-shot lead and one hand on the claret jug. Unfortunately for him, one bad decision would lead to everything falling apart on the biggest stage imaginable.
I don't believe it.
I think the most painful part of all this is that he still forced a playoff, only to lose it anyway.
Hit it hard enough. They played a similar shot to the one he plopped into the burn. He just didn't accelerate.
If this was your local Sunday tourney, you'd simply never come back. Dustin Johnson, grounded club penalty. Next up is one of those moments where golf's rulebook shows up late and completely ruins the party. Because at Whistling Straits in 2010, Dustin Johnson thought he'd done everything right, only to find out after the fact that the officials disagreed.
Up there was in one of those bunkers that was outside the rope area. Now this is something that got a little tricky about how do you play these lies and all these bunkers all over the golf.
This one honestly still rips me up inside. It's gotta be one of the most brutal ways to have a major taken away from you. Thankfully, he's an absolute champion of a man and has more than bounced back from this horribly unlucky break. Jordan Spieth, driving range drop. Moving on through, every now and then golf stops making sense altogether. What you're about to see is one of those times. Because during the 2017 Open Championship at Royal Birkdale, Jordan Spieth hit a tee shot so far offline, he ended up taking a second shot from the driving range. Cameras scrambling, officials confused, Spieth walking around like he's lost his luggage at the airport. And the craziest part? After all of that, he still managed to save bogey before going on to win the tournament.
That's remarkable. He's got it off the range and he's got it over the trouble, but he has just got...
Rory McIlroy, lost ball at Kiowa. Alright, keep your eyes on this next one, because it turns into a full-on mystery in broad daylight. During the 2012 PGA Championship at Kiowa Island, Rory McIlroy hit a tee shot that landed in plain sight, and yet, nobody was able to find the ball. I'd be lying if I said this didn't remind me of my girlfriend telling me to get something out of the fridge or cupboard. I could be looking for 10 minutes only for her to come over and find it in a matter of seconds. Phil Mickelson, tent obstruction at Winged Foot. Next up is a collapse so painful it still gets brought up every US Open season. Phil Mickelson at Winged Foot in 2006. Standing at the 18th tee with a one-shot lead, Phil hit a tee shot that should have been bad, but instead turned catastrophic thanks to what came next. Some shots miss fairways, most of mine do anyway.
Elm tree is going to try to get it up and in.
But this one well and truly missed a career-defining moment. Sergio Garcia, ball stuck in a tree. To follow on from that, we've got one of those moments where you just have to laugh, because if this happened to you, you'd assume the universe was having a dig. During the 2013 Arnold Palmer International, Sergio Garcia hit a shot that didn't find water, didn't find sand, but found a tree. And even more importantly than that, it was too tempting a line not to have a swing at. Tell me you're playing for serious money without telling me you're playing for serious money. Because I can almost promise you that if that were my ball, an old but new one is coming straight from the bag and being dropped right where his ended up landing.
How about that?
That's a Saturday Sergio special that's gone completely off the rails. Adam Scott, 4 consecutive bogeys to lose the Open. And if Sergio's moment felt cruel, this one was just flat out heartbreaking. Because sometimes unlucky isn't loud or chaotic, it's quiet, slow, and you can feel it slipping away in real time. At the 2012 Open Championship, Adam Scott stood on the cusp of a career-defining win, his first ever major tournament. He sat at 10 under, 3 shots clear of second with 4 holes to go. Only he'd bogey the 15th, bogey the 16th, and bogey the 17th. He needed to hold par on the final hole of the tournament to force the playoff.
Nope.
At the time, it was gut-wrenching for Adam, but inspiringly, it wouldn't take him long to rebound, because the following year he'd go on to finally win that elusive first major when he picked up the green jacket at Augusta after becoming the 2013 Masters champion. Jon Rahm, hold chip, that came with a price. And just when you think you've seen every possible way golf can twist the knife, it finds a new one. Because this one involves Jon Rahm doing everything right and still getting punished for it. During the 2021 Memorial Tournament, Rahm chipped in front of the green in what looked like a momentum-shifting moment, only for officials to step in and really dampen the mood.
Aware of this, Slugger White's going to talk to you so you don't sign an incorrect scorecard when you get into scoring, but the possibility of your ball moving when you were addressing it on 16, you look surprised. Is that something that you saw or felt?
Not at all.
Yeah.
I did not see or feel anything, no. I mean, if it did, and he did, it is what it is. If I would deem it's a penalty stroke, it is a penalty stroke, but still doesn't take anything from the shot, honestly. Had I seen it, I would have said so. I just never did.
I feel like that news was about as welcome as a turd in a hot tub. I mean, did you see the look on his face? Golf really does have a special talent for turning magic into misery in the blink of an eye. Tom Watson, near miss at 59. Sometimes unlucky doesn't come from a bad swing or a bad bounce. It comes from time itself catching up with you at the worst possible moment. Because in 2009 at Turnberry, Tom Watson, one of the all-time greats with 8 major titles including 5 Open Championship wins between 75 and 83, stood 1 par away from doing something the sport had never seen before. At 59 years old, Watson was poised to becoming the oldest major tournament winner in history.
Work to be done. Serious work to be done.
The putt slid by, and so did the following playoff. Put simply, Watson's tank was empty. He'd given everything he had over the 4 days and just couldn't keep it together for the final 4 holes. It wasn't a collapse, it wasn't a mistake, it was just golf reminding everyone that fairy tales don't always get the ending they deserve. Phil Mickelson, Shinnecock carnage. If Watson's moment felt quietly devastating, this one was absolute chaos. Because when the US Open rolls into Shinnecock Hills, it has a habit of turning good players into stressed out human beings very, very quickly.
That's nicely done.
In 04, Phil Mickelson walked onto those greens with momentum on his side, and then spent the weekend trying to survive putting surfaces that were basically marble countertops. The definition of lightning quick greens. So much so that this US Open was dubbed the year the USGA lost the course. Mickelson has since said that this was the US Open miss that torments him the most. So freaking unlucky. If he only knew what would happen 2 years later, as we saw earlier. Yikes. Dustin Johnson, flagstick, then water. And just when you think golf's finished piling on, it finds a new way to do it in one swing. Because sometimes bad luck isn't the result of a bad decision. Sometimes it's an absolutely sensational shot that turns out to be a little too sensational. Flagstick to water is about as cruel as golf gets. Cam Davis, bad luck gets redeemed. Up next, a moment where golf tried its best to take the absolute piss. Because like Dustin, Cam Davis found himself on the wrong end of a similar moment at the 2025 AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. That's the sort of break that makes you stare at your caddy just to confirm this is, in fact, real life. But despite the bad luck, Cam was having none of it.
My goodness, is that.
He stepped up and redeemed his misfortune with a stroke of brilliance. How's that for justice? Jason Karen, hazard to hazard. And just when you think bad luck has peaked, golf finds a way to double it. Because this one is a reminder that sometimes, even when you miss once, the misery might not stop there. Jason Caron found himself staring down one of those moments where a single mistake sandballed instantly from one hazard straight into another.
In the bunker, didn't hit a rake.
Not sure if he couldn't find the ball or if he was perplexed as to how that even happened. Either way, peak misfortune right there. Time for a water penalty, Jason. Steve Lowry. Seagull picks up the ball. But right when you think the chaos is over, nature decides to get involved. And I've got to be honest, this is pretty funny. Steve Lowry hit what should have been a routine shot at the Players' Championship back in 1998, only for a seagull to swoop down and give everyone except Shane some serious entertainment.
Oh, no!
Try explaining that one to your playing partners without sounding unhinged. Golf is already hard enough. Adding animal interference feels wildly unnecessary. JT Poston, in and out. And if you ever needed proof that golf is more than capable of straight up messing with you, here you go. At the Century in 2024, JT Poston hits a pitch on the par 5 ninth that's so full of spin it literally drops into the cup and then decides it's got places to be. Everyone take notes. If that ever happens to you or your mates on a Saturday, that's a slam dunk worth celebrating, because I'd simply refuse to accept what just happened. And hilariously following that, the next entry on our list makes you wonder if the course itself was in on the joke. Max Homa, sprinkler head bounce. Because sometimes unlucky isn't wind, water, rough, or even the pin. It's a perfectly placed piece of metal waiting to ruin your day. Max Homa hit what should have been a solid, problem-free shot until it clipped a sprinkler head and took off in a completely different direction. All you can do is laugh at that point. Like, is there another option? Eric Van Rooyen, Bee Swarm Chaos. It's the same option you'd have taken if you were in the clip coming up, because once again, some wildlife wanted the headlines for themselves. Eric Van Rooyen was minding his own business when a full-on swarm of bees decided the golf course was now theirs, and absolutely nobody argued back.
They're being swarmed right now with bees.
Oh my goodness, guys, I'm lucky. I'm about 150 yards away.
All you're missing at this point is some David Attenborough commentary. And in all honesty, the next incident could have used some too, because this one is less chaotic, but equally as entertaining. Turtle interference at the Compact Classic. During the '99 Compact Classic, this golfer found the green with his approach shot. Only, the crowd weren't the only ones watching the ball. There's unlucky, and then there's getting pissed on by a turtle in front of thousands while live on television. Need I say more? Let me know down in the comments if you recognize the golfer who takes the shot too. For the life of me, I couldn't figure it out. Rory McIlroy, squirrel standoff. And just when you think wildlife has finished messing with professional golfers, along comes a squirrel with absolutely no respect for personal space. And this one isn't about chaos or danger or anything like that. It's about Rory McIlroy being locked in a full-blown staring contest mid-round. The Northern Irishman stepped up to the tee, ready to play, only for a squirrel to plant itself right where it absolutely shouldn't be, completely unfazed by the situation. I love how Rory semi-started the backswing almost as a joke. That part had me in stitches. And credit has to go to him for maintaining his composure once he did get the shot away. If I had been in his position, I'd have completely lost it after this hilarious but also unfortunate incident. Cody Gribble, alligator at Bay Hill. And to close things out, Cody Gribble gives us a moment we'll never forget at the 2017 Arnold Palmer Invitational in Florida. Make of this what you will. The thing is, Cody wasn't the only golfer to come across that alligator that day. I think I'd react much more like that in all honesty. The squirrel's looking good for the composure cracker right now, because I have no idea how my round would recover if I nearly walked up on a gator like that. From Van der Velde's nightmare at Carnoustie to Rory's negotiations with a squirrel, this sport really does test you in ways no other does. Sometimes it's cruel, sometimes it's funny. And sometimes it's just completely unfair. If you feel a bit out of the loop and want to catch up on what happened in the golfing world through 2025, click here. I appreciate you sticking around, and as always, thank you for watching.